Okay, they call this exhibit the Pioneer and the Statehood Industry exhibit. And we're just going to do a brief overview of this. Jacob Summerlin, of course, is one of the most famous cowboys in the entire country, in all of history. This is his walking cane, presented rather in 1887. This talks about the Summerlin Institute.
The date and your mission. And it's a symbol of the trade. Most people think that it's just not.
Okay. Some of these exhibits are gone. They're being transitioned. And again, this is just a brief overview if you want to see what's here. And then, as with any museum, the exhibits change. So. And this talks about the pioneers, Cracker Life. This area we're in now, Bartow, was once called Fort Blunt. And this is an overview of the local forts. Of course, it's not all the forts. The forts go literally the length and width of the state. But this talks about the forts in Polk County, and this explains what they all were. And the years they operated in. This talks about the military roads. Stonewall Jackson was stationed at Fort Meade in 1851. And this is a timeline here of the Seminole Wars. This talks about the blacks in early Polk County and the black communities that grew up in the area. Okay, here we have the initial display of what it talks about. Polk County at work, of what this exhibit is about: fishing, hunting, cattle, citrus phosphate, railroads, naval store / turpentine, beekeeping, and farming. So we're going to see a lot of original artifacts and a lot of descriptions of the various industries and the way that the residents of Polk County impacted those industries in their area. Okay, this is all agriculture here. And various farm implements, processing equipment, corn sheller. Here we have beekeeping, something I want to do someday. Hunting and fishing. This is really neat. These are original, well, they're calling them leggings. Cotton Walker in Carl Allen's Cafe, courtesy of. But the two various kind of leggings I'm imagining would have been for snake guards, so snake proof, which I wear something like that when I go into the deep bush, only it's a little more lighter weight, more comfortable. I've yet to test it to see how effective it is. Thank God. Okay, this is the Turpentine section. That noise behind us is the railroad. This talks about cattle. This is the railroad. The trunks, signals, train signals, cart for carrying freight, scale, Henry Plant photograph, and description of who he was. These are original depot signs and scheduling chalkboards. Very cool stuff. This is more railroad related things. And there's an old Good Humor Man changer. And everything was, a lot of things were done with coin instead of bills. It's an old ACL map. This is a sectional map of the Department of Agriculture. And here's an old ACL, SCL, CSX map. I mean, it just basically tells you all the different lines wherever they were. This is phosphate. This talks about phosphates. Huge, huge phosphate area out here. We're in the middle of, we're absolutely, literally central Florida. If there was a center to Florida, this is probably it. And huge, even to this day. We pull out 75% of the world's, or the country's phosphate mining is done here. It's interesting. I think it's interesting when you consider where phosphates are come from, which are old fossils. This is one of the, if not the fossil capital of the world, one of them. This talks about cattle. And here again we see Jacob Summerlin. This is really neat. This is an old brand book kept by the clerk of the court. So if you came in with somebody else's brand, you got accused of stealing, you could either prove it or be disproved. Citrus, this is all citrus related. This talks about packing houses and how they did it. Nowadays, I think they just go through and, well, most of it, I guess, is ordered from Brazil, but what is grown here, I think they just wrap something around the bottom of the tree and shake it, some kind of a big tool, I don't know. People don't go up on the trees and ladders anymore and pick them by hand. Okay, and this, oh, yeah, that's something I just found out really neat. Badcock, the Badcock Furniture Place, was established here in early 20th century. As we all know, Publix was also established out here. This is a display from that. It talks about Badcock. Later on, we'll see the Publix. Coca-Cola was a major force in Bartow County. I'm sorry, Polk County, Lakeland, Auburndale, Bartow. Gee, I forget who all else had plants. Oh, here it tells everything, every place that had plants. Winter Haven, Fort Meade, all had plants. Very cool. Some of them are still standing, some of them are not. This is really neat. This talks about the asphalt roads. Well, this sign here, I gotta just digress a little bit. This is an original sign, welcome to Polk County. And then it talks about the speed limits and things like that. Please comply and avoid prosecution. I like that. A definite set of rules and a consequence for not obeying. Lee Jackson Highway. Actually been on the Lee Jackson Highway, what's left of it now. Parts of it. These are old traffic signals. And a Publix display here. And this talks about banking and currency. There's no bank vault. And maybe one of the coolest things here, which I don't really see an apt or a detailed description, but this is an original 1863 to 1865 flag. And they never removed the 13 stars once the 11 states seceded. They just very optimistically kept those, assuming that they would be back. And after millions of deaths, they were. All right, so old public stuff, very cool stuff.